my relationship with myself was one of the weakest one at that time.
We haven't really learned to appreciate ourselves.
Our belief systems, our thought processes eventually attract the kind of person we are bringing in life, because we are trying to validate that belief again and again. Somewhere our outer world is a mirror of our inner world. We've forgotten that looks are not everything at all times. If you're talking about the specific, death that happened by suicide in Delhi, the school had a very, very big role to play. The new generation operates in a very different format today. I don't think our education system or even the corporate world is still prepared to attend to these needs of the new generation. We see self-harm rising even more and more in the coming times.
In 2022, over 13,000 students died by suicide.
We are not bringing in more emotionally intelligent teachers. My relationship with myself is in my control. But what's happening in my external environment is not in my control.
How do we actually build a better relationship with ourselves?
I think we miss the fact that our body is, in a way, a machine that needs its time to start. Morning and night scrolling, absolutely to be avoided. That's the first thing that I say, and those 30 minutes, invest in yourself.
It is often said that your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in life. We're seeing an alarming rise in mental health issues in our society, with many young people taking extreme steps. If we learn to love ourselves a little bit more, will it put us in a better position to withstand the ups and downs of life? To explore this very important question, we have with us on Buzz by the Bay counseling psychologist and relationship counselor and author with over 12 years of experience, Namrata Jain. Welcome on Buzz by the Bay, Namrata.
Thank you for inviting me, Anushka.
Pleasure to meet you in person. I was going through your book, Connect to Reconnect, and you're very young, but you still have more than 12 years of experience.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a journey, I think. 12 years. It's a self journey, along with that, a journey with people, helping them through their well-being. Started my journey when I was 13 years old.
So, 13?
Yeah, I started my journey there from a psychology textbook that intrigued me to take up this subject. And since then, I think I've been super passionate about learning about humans, mind, behavior, how we function, why we are who we are today. Yeah, it's an ongoing journey, I think.
Yeah, I think there are many interesting things you talk about in your book, which talks about the 9 jewels to well-being and to optimal living. You talk about 9 different types of relationships, whether it's your relationship with yourself or with money or with nature. But you've also written in the introduction to your book that you yourself, in spite of being in this mental health field, you yourself went through a depression of sorts. And this book was a byproduct of your healing.
Yeah, and yeah, that was a journey. I think all of us go through, a journey that brings in a lot of change in us. For me, this was a journey in 2018-19 where I went through a phase which was a real, downfall for me. It took me quite a lot of time to figure out, a journey for myself, because as a therapist, a lot of things, but yet not always does it become easy when you're going through it yourself, right? And you need help as well at that time. That's where the book came out as a byproduct of that journey, because I realized that my relationship with myself was one of the weakest one at that time.
Really?
And as I started exploring them, the other elements came into the picture with time, starting from self to food to my body. These were the 3 primary ones that I began with, and then I started spending a lot of time in nature. That's how nature is, an element that came in, and then build my relationships with my family members, each of them all over again, your partner. So that area was something that I started exploring, and then money, work, everything just came in, slowly and gradually in that journey. It took me 9 months.
Like you said, you felt that your relationship with your own self needed to be healed, needed to be repaired. And that's what you worked on, and that's where this book stems from. And one doesn't realize that mental health professionals also can go through their own mental health challenges.
Yes.
Do you think that is a fallout of having to talk to so many people and hearing about their issues? Do you think somewhere that affects a mental health professional?
So I would say that the training that we had is more to do with people, right? The training did not involve a lot of self-work, which is where I think we faltered in the education system. Right now, what we are doing is we're actually working with colleges, trying to get that supervision where a person who's getting trained to be a therapist also gets to work on themselves first. That I think was a miss when I was studying.
Coming to your book, the very first chapter is Pearl of Self-Love, right? And to me, my understanding is that that seems to be the base of the pyramid.
Right.
On which you build every other relationship. That if you don't have that self-love, then you can't build, you can't really offer any love to anyone else. Would you say that that's correct in a way?
I won't say 100%. A part of us can still express love and kindness to others, but maybe not the whole of us.
Okay.
Right? There is a little bit, like they always say, that your cup got to be full for you to pour into somebody else's, but your cup is never absolutely empty. We always have somebody around us, or we have a certain soft corner for ourselves. So we are able to pour for others, but it's extracting it from what you can give yourself when you really need it. And I think there it's very important for us to know that when love emerges from within, you're able to give it far more from outside, because as a child, you're always somewhere receiving love externally. We've never been trained to look at it as, oh, when I look at myself in the mirror, am I appreciating myself? Am I being able to express a little bit love to myself? Or is it only dependent on what others talk about me and how I look and how I feel or what I'm good at? It's usually a lot borrowed from external sources for us, our parents appreciating us, our teachers, or the grades that we have at that time, or our friends. I think as parents, we have not been taught to be able to build this in our children from childhood, where a little bit of self-appreciation, love, building on their esteem, building on their worth, I think has not been a foundation that we've created. And I always look at mental health from a preventive lens, because there is treatment becoming available a lot. There are a lot of organizations working on that, and we really need it. But there's nobody looking at the preventive lens as such. And when I talk about starting with self as the foundation, I believe it is the core. It is the center, and all the other elements that I'm talking about, the 9 elements, are actually around you. So they extend from the center to the outside. Your relationship with yourself is the extension that will then build your relationship with money, build your relationship with work, build your relationship with your partner, all your family members, or your body. Everything is an extension of that eventually.
Yeah, as you've said in your book, that self-love is transformational. We haven't really learned to appreciate ourselves without that external validation. I think even grown-ups have a hard time doing that, right? To really appreciate, everybody needs that external validation, and in this age of social media, it's even more. Something you've said in the beginning of your book, which is interesting, you've said that true healing from mental illness and trauma requires building a better relationship with the wounded part of yourself and the source of the wounds. So what does that mean? If you can give us some examples.
Okay, so there's a trend going on right now, where everybody's talking about trauma. And trauma is, one thing we need to understand, that trauma is our perception of what we went through in that situation, right? So it could be as simple as, say for example, you as a child wanted milk and you were really hungry. But your parent was doing some other work at that time and they were not immediately available to come in. They said, we'll go in 5 minutes. But you as a child at that time perceived that as, my mother is not available for me. And so I don't think I'm important enough. Now these are very subtle wounds because of the perception that you had about that situation. It's not that the mother is at fault at all in this. It's a lot to do with our perception about that situation that creates trauma for us. Unless, of course, if we are talking about abuse and we are talking about any kind of, violence that has happened, that definitely in itself is traumatic.
Of course.
But then we also have these small wounds that we do, accumulate over years, because we perceive them as very traumatic for us at that time. And that keeps on building, building, building. And as you see and you grow up, you will see those happening in your relationships with people. And you'll see that happening in your relationship with food. Say, for example, for a child like that who perceived this as traumatic or this as something that was a wound for them, as they grow up, they'll always attract partners who are not enough available for them. Because they believe I'm not worthy enough of somebody being available for me. And our belief systems, our thought processes eventually attract the kind of person we're bringing in life, because we are trying to validate that belief again and again until we become aware about it, work on it, and then be able to break that belief system or restructure that belief system and build a new one.
So it's really how you perceive events, through your life.
Somewhere our outer world is a mirror of our inner world.
Right.
The way we are perceiving the world is exactly how the events in our life are going to unfold with time.
Okay, very interesting. So how would you go about healing the wounded part of yourself? If you give us an example, because I know in your book you talk about, like, for people who have body image issues, it's about healing your relationship with your body.
Mm-hmm.
There can be someone who maybe as a child was teased for being overweight. Mm-hmm. And even if they've lost weight and become super skinny, somewhere the back of their mind, they still have this image of themselves, because they've been teased or ragged as a child. How do you go about healing the wounds?
I think the first thing that's very important for any human being is to find a safe space for themselves, to be able to express what has happened. See, we all have an inner child, a child in us that is constantly giving us, or a child in us that is constantly bringing about who we are in the present, because it's functioning right in the background. They say that 0 to 7 years or 8 years is your prime time when your foundation to who you are builds for the next 60, 70 years that you're going to live. And so attending to this child is very, very primary.
Okay.
Please find a safe space where you can talk about this. Like you said, body image issue, right? And this probably has started very early in life for the person. I use hypnotherapy as a tool as well, and when we do inner child work, we explore as to where did this really start from? And how is it that it has gotten validated with time and again, whether it's in school, whether it's you coming in college and you've been bullied for your weight or the way you look or the kind of color skin that you have. And it's been again and again repeated, and that's how it becomes a fixed belief system that I'm not good enough, I don't look good. Once you find a safe space to be able to go and talk about it, your therapist will guide you how do you rebuild the relationship. Often we use a lot of mirror work, we use a lot of affirmations, we use hypnotherapy as a tool to be able to anchor the person on their thought process about their own self, a lot of gratitude diaries, journaling, being able to dress up every day and feel good about yourself, doing things that make you feel good. None of us, I believe every person at some point has a concern with the way they look. But the problem is that whether it's social media or media in itself has amplified the way we look and the way we present ourselves as so important that we've forgotten that looks are not everything at all times. You being healthy, you being mentally at peace, or you being happy or being in that happy state of mind is so important that we often forget to give value to that. The moment you work with your therapist, or even if you're doing self-work, and you're working on building this foundation of first being healthy physically, then working on your mental well-being, and then working on how you present yourself, I believe that the person will be able to build a better relationship with their body.
Okay, and all these techniques you use, whether it's hypnotherapy, whether it's journaling and all sorts of, other maybe cognitive behavioral therapy, whatever it is, you find it helpful with your patients?
Yes, very much.
It does help sort of repair that wound.
Yes.
So I want to come to a related, very specific, topic of student suicides. And right now we're seeing, we've seen quite a few in the last few weeks. At a very elite school in Delhi, we saw one in Mumbai recently. We saw a 16-year-old in Delhi who took his life at the metro station because he says he was being harassed by teachers, bullied by teachers. Do you feel somewhere that it's a lack of self-love or self-worth that is also causing this kind of crisis that we're seeing in our society, this mental health crisis?
I think so. Death by suicide is a very large issue, and I think it's not limited only to the person who's dying by suicide. It is also about everybody around them, and that's where I talk about every element around you has a contribution to what you're going through in some way or the other. Like, say for example, if you're talking about the specific death that happened by suicide in Delhi, the school had a very, very big role to play.
Yes.
And so I'm sure did the parents have a role to play, and of course the child's relationship with himself had a role to play.
Okay.
And so all of the three together have somewhere contributed to what happened.
Okay.
Which means that we need to look at this preventive approach so much more strongly, because we are coming to a space where the new generation operates in a very different format today than how you and me did when we were in school. We were very resilient. We did not get bothered by small comments as much as it is today.
Do you think the new generation is less resilient?
I think we need to work on building their resilience, but we also need to work on the environment that is giving them that space. I'll tell you why, because I don't know, you must have read about Maslow's hierarchy in my book,
Yeah,
and I'm talking about the pyramid,
the hierarchy
of needs. While you and me were born probably when, our parents had taken care of maybe the first year of physiological needs, and they were taking care of safety needs or belongingness, I believe a lot of new generation is born in a time where they're born directly on the third or the fourth tier.
If you will explain that, the
their
third
needs,
or fourth tier.
The third tier, so the first tier is physiological needs, where your food, shelter, clothing are your most basic needs that you're taking care of. Your second tier is all about safety and security, so making sure that you have a house to live in, you have employment, or you have resources that take care of your basic necessities. The third layer is love and belongingness, where you're looking for social connections, you're looking for intimacy, you're looking for some kind of social support. The fourth tier is all about recognition, self-esteem, freedom. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I here to do? And some kind of self-work that starts at that tier. And the fifth tier is about self-actualization, where my desires are getting met and now I'm willing to go beyond myself, right? Now, most of our new generation, from all of these elite schools that we are talking about especially, are born at the fourth tier mostly. So they are looking for who am I, why am I here, what is my freedom as a person, how authentic can I be as a human being, and they are literally changing the way we all have been for so many years. As millennials, we've been in a very different way of working. We were born when our parents were still at security and safety, and so we knew that we had to go through certain things to get there, because we had to build it with them as well.
Yeah.
But it's very different right now, and I don't think our education system or even the corporate world is still prepared to attend to these needs of the new generation. And that's where we are faltering now. I have children in, coming from colleges where students, and we see them coming with, cuts with blades on their thighs and their arms, and there's so much high self-harm that's going on. And it's not like 1 out of 100, we've had like from one classroom, we've had 10 students come in with the same issue. And we see self-harm rising even more and more in the coming times. That's because children are not being understood. They don't have a safe space to be able to go and talk to somebody of what they're going through. While our education system is the same, we have to understand that the new generation is different. We are not changing the education system at all. We are not bringing in more emotionally intelligent teachers. We are not bringing in, we're not training the parents as to how do you deal with this. Parenting was never taught. Yeah. Children just grew up, in the earlier times. But now with the kind of exposure, the kind of competition that is there, we will need parenting, and we will need a lot more of leadership and teacher training that needs to come in the forefront. I've worked on, with another child psychologist, I've worked on a whole curriculum from grade 1 to grade 10 for students and for teachers of how to go about preventive mental well-being. So that's a very big chunk of work we are doing for the coming years now.
In this particular case of Delhi, your comment was that it's everyone has a role to play. The teachers, of course, that's pretty obvious, but the parents also. And second, you said the child's own relationship with himself. So what could the parents have done differently? I mean, I'm not trying to blame anyone here, but what
Definitely not.
could parents do differently in a situation like this?
Yeah, I think for sure, no parent knows something like this could happen. No child knows that they might reach a stage where they just feel like there's no other way out. But this is a very big learning lesson for us. I think even the counselor was involved, where the counselor didn't take the child saying that I'm having suicidal thoughts seriously enough. I think we are equally responsible in this position, because as a therapist, the child comes to you with safety, knowing that this person will help me if not anybody else, because this person is not involved in my emotional day-to-day life. And I think we all have an equal responsibility in this, as much as the parents do. From a parenting perspective, as parents, I believe it's important for us to help our child build that relationship with them. As simple as being appreciative to the child, but yet pointing out when they are going incorrect. For them to know that, you know what, my parents are by my side, have my back, but yet they draw boundaries. I think parents at times are either drawing excessive boundaries, or they're completely neglectful, where the child is just on their own doing whatever they feel like.
So the school should have drawn a boundary in terms of like taken its teachers to task.
Yes.
Paid heed to the boy's complaints.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he expressed to the counselor that he had suicidal thoughts. And I've spoken to many psychiatrists and psychologists about this, and they say the same thing. Don't take this lightly, because often the psychiatrists, often parents think that, oh, this is something the child is just saying, never actually going to do it.
Yeah.
But we have to listen.
Yeah.
And like you said, these days boundaries are less. We need more balance, more boundaries also.
I think we need to know when to draw the boundary. Because we are, and that boundary is for every person. I'll tell you, sometimes I have youth coming to office, and we know that they have ordered self-harm products from Amazon for them to go back and have it available at home. I've had a case where I've had to deal with that as well.
Like what? I mean, sorry, but
they
what
would
kind of
order a
self-harm?
knife from Amazon for it to get delivered at a certain point, because they are mentally thinking at such a different level that it's very hard for you and me to comprehend this just so neutrally. And I had this client come in for a session with one of our therapists in the team. And that therapist came and told me that, ma'am, I think I need your help for this. And we sat, and I had to talk to the child, because he or she stays in a hostel in Mumbai and stays away from parents. We don't have direct access to parents either. We have their contact numbers. But the child said, I don't want the parents to know. And as psychotherapists, confidentiality is our first base. It's the first ethic that we abide by. But we also need to know when to break this ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And babe, I said, I need to inform your parent. I cannot let you go home. And I stuck to my ground on that unless and until I could have a word with the parent.
I just want to read out a few statistics. So student suicide crisis in India, there's a 65% increase over the last decade in student suicides. In 2022, over 13,000 students died by suicide. Making that about 7.6% of total suicides in the country. So it's a very alarming statistic. The age demographics, individuals aged 15 to 24 seem to have the highest rate of suicides occurring in our country. And you're also talking about young students who come and you see, that they have blade marks, and that's really disturbing to hear. And like you said, in these cases, it's okay to break that rule of confidentiality and inform the parents. But going forward, how do you help them cope?
Okay, so we need to understand a very important thing when it comes to children or youth between 15 to 25. Okay, one is that they have suddenly stepped out of school. So there's a huge amount of change that's happening in their life. Two is there's a lot of hormonal change that's happening in their body. So their body is equally going through immense amount of change in these periods. And three is that there is a lot of external pressure of performance for them now. They've come into the space of now looking at their study as something that they're going to build as a career, and that brings in a lot of pressure. I think fourth, there is also a lot of peer pressure that comes in at this stage, because you're trying to stand out somewhere amongst everybody else. And so there are multiple factors. As a psychotherapist at this point, we first try and understand as to what's happening at their physical body level. I involve a lot of intake when it comes to what food they eat, in terms of do they exercise or no, how much water intake are they doing, what are the kind of health issues that they have, what is their social circle like right now, do they have safety in friendships or as a family people who they can go back to. I think these are very basics which often we miss. We jump onto the problem, but this is the foundation, and so are they eating well? Are they, and if they are eating well, what are they eating? Because food has a very strong role to play in your mental health.
Yeah.
Because your gut and your brain are connected.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to have a huge impact on the way you manage your emotions. The kind of people you're hanging out with. Are you feeling safe amongst them?
Yeah.
Right? Are you exercising? Is your physical body moving enough to be able to release those endorphins that are required to keep you healthy?
That serotonin. And
so the first step is the basics. And after that, we start understanding as to what are they going through, what are the kind of belief systems they have right now, what are the patterns that they are operating from, what is their complete thought process at this point, what is the kind of support they need from the therapist. We set the goals along with the client. We ask them, what do you need from us? I use hypnotherapy as a tool with some clients where I think I can apply it. Also do a lot of breath work, meditation work with them. We've created resources for them to be able to do these things on a regular basis and be with them in the journey to build a certain amount of resilience, build their connection with themselves, to be able to create a circle where they feel safety, to build their relationship with their parents. Because as a therapist, you don't want to take the position of a parent in their lives ever. There is a very strong boundary that you maintain as a psychotherapist as well.
So you take a very holistic approach. You've said breath work, you build a resilience. Coming to this very important topic of self-worth and social media. And I know in your book, you also talk about someone, I think a young client or patient who is so upset because he suddenly lost a lot of followers. And so how do you deal with that? I mean, it's very important to keep your self-worth intact in this age of social media, and it's really, really hard, actually, because you're constantly comparing.
Yeah. I think most people who are in the space of social media, they attach their identity to what they're doing. And that is where I think we falter. Whether it's social media or whether it's you in a corporate organization or you working in the media space, I think it's all the same. The moment you attach your identity to the work that you do, if anything goes wrong at your work, your identity is at stake. Your self-worth, your identity, both are at stake. I always work with clients on building their relationship with their self, their identity, their self-worth, based on who they are as a person and not what they are doing. Because who they are as a person is always in their charge and their control.
Okay.
Because they can keep evolving. My relationship with myself is in my control. But what's happening in my external environment is not in my control. And so that dependency needs to be reduced with time.
So have that strong base, as in have that stronger relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Know what you're good at, know your own worth. Don't tie your identity to your work and to your social media image is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if your relationship with yourself is stronger, and if you're not drawing your identity through like results at the workplace and things like that, do you think that your relationship with money also changes?
That's a very important topic, very few people talk about our relationship with money. But money is just another energy. And it's probably one of the strongest energy of exchange that exists. Thus, that relationship with money, your foundation happens when you are a child of how you were exposed to the area of money. How did your parents talk about money? How did your parents talk about, or whoever was your guardian who was in a parent figure for you, how did they talk about money as a resource? Or how did they define people and money together. Right? A lot of belief systems like, if I have too much of money, I'll become egoistic, and so I don't want to, have too much of money. Or people who have a lot of money have a lot of problems in life.
Yeah.
Or, money received from this channel or in this way is not good money for you. Like, these are fixed belief systems that often are somewhere ingrained because of the kind of surroundings or the kind of hearing that we had as a child. And that builds our relationship with money with time, until you become aware about those belief systems and you start working on reinforcing or restructuring those belief systems again and again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you restructure that, do you think that money comes more easily to you then? Do you think,
Prospects to be able to build money will come to you. So opportunities will come to you. But then, of course, some work needs to be done from your
course,
side
you
to
can't
be
just
able
sit
to
there
translate it
it's
into
not gonna
something.
fall on your lap.
Yes, for sure. Money is a resource and money flows. It's not going to stay stagnant with you. And so is self-love. When you have love within you, you are going to share it with people. It's not going to only remain with you, because if it only remains limited to you, it's going to become selfishness, which is again a problem.
So, here you're talking about really cultivating a healthy relationship with everything, from yourself to everyone else around you.
I think one more thing that I missed is, what do you intend to do with that money? Your intention plays a very big role to play in this.
Yeah.
Because money is an energy that's free flowing. It will come to you when your intention towards that money and what you want to do out of it is also something that's beneficial to the society at large or to people at large around you.
So it's all about your purpose and your intention as well.
Yeah.
That is also a very important part of the relationship.
Absolutely.
So I want to come to a last section is now, how do we actually build a better relationship with ourselves? What are the various things we can do, the exercises we can do to build that self-love?
The first journey starts with when you wake up. What we do is, the moment we wake up, we pick our phones or we start thinking about what we need to do all day. I think we miss the fact that our body is, in a way, a machine that needs its time to start. Start your day by taking every minute slowly. The body takes about 7 to 8 minutes to be able to start its system. And the whole day of how it's going to go is going to get decided in those 5 to 8 minutes of yours.
Okay.
And so it's very important for you to give yourself that time to be able to begin the day. The machine takes time to fuel, right? It takes time for it to start. Your computer doesn't start working the moment you switch it on. It needs its time to start its machine, and then you're able to function with it. Let's also be that little kind to our body firstly. Okay, so take your time to start slow. Your mornings should be something that you invest in yourself. Your 30 minutes when you wake up and your 30 minutes when you sleep, you're in an automatic hypnotic state. Okay, and that state of mind, whatever you are going to put in your mind is going to grow. You're sowing seeds early morning and when you're going to bed. But that's the time, unfortunately, we are scrolling on our phones.
I know. So morning scrolling should be avoided totally, is what you're saying?
Morning and night scrolling, absolutely to be avoided. That's the first thing that I say. And those 30 minutes, invest in yourself. Move your body. Your body stores a lot of emotions. The more you move them, the more you're going to release those emotions with time to come.
Yeah.
Do some breathing exercises in the morning, because that helps your organs get active. It helps the body to function better, to feel calmer.
Yeah.
Journal in the morning as to what do you want to do through the day, or what have you felt early in the morning that day. So journaling being a very, very important activity. And mirror exercises.
What is
It's
mirror
since
exercises?
2016 I've been doing this. The first thing that I wake up, I go to the mirror, I look at myself, I say any one thing that I feel very, very appreciative about myself that day. I'll give a nice hug to myself and say that I really love you for who you are as a person.
So gratitude, affirmation, things like that.
Gratitude, self-love in a literal sense, where you tell yourself that I really love myself. I love you for who you are, Namrata, and who you're becoming with times to come. I think this expression has evolved my relationship with myself and has made the core so much more stronger to be able to be who I am today in any situation that comes my way. If you feel like, do a relaxation, there's shavasana in yogic sciences that they say, do that before you go to bed so you have a good sleep to be able to come back. Because sleep is again very, very primary. It's the wear and tear that your body really, really needs. The more you are with the rhythm of nature, the more your body is going to be, healthy and for you. And in the current times, I think health is wealth. I think go for therapy when really, really required because people hesitate. And I'm saying you don't go for therapy when you are already in a bad space. Let therapy become something that's your preventive space. We've always had physicians as a part of our lives to go to when we have cold and cough and small things when it comes to a physical body. You can have your therapist as somebody you visit once in a month or once in 3 months also. But just so that you can download things, be able to get some clarity if required, check in if there are areas that need work. If they don't, let them just be a bouncing board for you sometimes, But it's important to have that safety because in the current times to find somebody who gives us that safe space is a question mark for a lot of people. So if all in all, if you see the morning and night routine, your food intake, your exercise, your journaling regularly, doing gratitude, opting for therapy when really, really required, and not hesitating because this safe space is important, and also building on your self-identity, worth, your perception about your own self. Don't depend on others' perception about you, but start building a beautiful one on your own.
Okay. Some wonderful tips there. Thank you so much, Namrata Jain, for joining us on Buzz by the Way.
Thank you, Anushka, for inviting me. It was lovely and a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks.